Hey, Yinz guys and gals, gather around for a journey like no other. It's time to hop on board the Yinz Goin podcast. From the rivers that meet at the point to form downtown Pittsburgh, to the sheer face of Half Dome, to the furthest corners of the globe, Matt will be your compass, your confidant, your companion as we explore the wonders of travel. So sit back, relax on your couch, and let the wanderlust whoosh over Yinz as we discover new horizons and reminisce about old favorites. With Matt by our side, the sky's the limit. Join Matt on the Yinz Goin podcast because when it comes to travel, the journey's just getting started. And now, without further ado, let's give a shot for your guide through the highways and byways of travel. Your planning partner, the man with the map, Matt Schraeder. Hi, Yinz doing? Welcome to the Yinz Goin podcast. I'm Matt. I'm your host. Joining me again today is Elaine, who's making her fifth appearance on the Yinz Goin podcast. Can you believe that, Elaine?
I honestly, I can't. I was actually trying to do the math the other day, but I'm so excited to be here.
Yeah, we're excited to have you. And now some of those were split up into different episodes, so we have recorded fewer times, but split into different episodes. It still counts though.
Yes,
But time flies when you're having fun, so we must be having fun, right?
I agree.
And now that you've reached this milestone, you get enrolled in the Jelly of the Month Club. It's the gift that
It's a
keeps
gift.
on giving. Yeah,
Yes, I really appreciated that National Lampoon's reference.
so you can see Elaine and I, like, as we mentioned on one of our previous episodes with Amanda, that we now all three of us share the brain cell that gets passed around.
Yes,
So
we just got to pass it back and forth between sign up on the sign up sheet.
now we are both big Star Wars fans, but we're gonna pull a Star Trek reference of having that Vulcan mind meld.
That part. I love it. Oh
So
man.
now you've been on enough that you don't need to give us an answer for the question about your favorite place to visit or a place you want to visit the most, unless you really want to. I don't know if you have a most
I
recent trip that influences you in any shape, way, or form.
I mean, I sure did just go on a very big milestone trip of mine, but we'll get into that in a second. But you know what's funny? I was thinking about this question. You know what has been like really at the forefront of my mind now that we've done both domestic parks is a cruise. I feel like I need to go on a cruise now.
Do the
Just
American Disney trifecta of you did Disneyland, Disney World, now Disney Cruise Line.
I think so. It's just been maybe it's because it's summertime. I want to go. I want to sit on a beach. I want to be on a boat. I want a pool. Disney cruise is really calling my name right now.
Here's an easy way to make that happen too.
It is. That's so funny.
So, but we are going to talk about Elaine's big milestone trip that she just took.
Yes.
Her first visit to Disneyland Resort out in California.
Yes.
Yay! Oh,
I can't believe it's taken me this long to get out there. I've been talking about wanting to go to Disneyland since I was a kid. Little background. My dad and my mom both have always been big Disney people, but my dad would always talk about this trip he took as a kid with his family. And he always like when we were talking about National Lampoon's earlier, he always likened it to National Lampoon's Family Vacation
Wally
because
World,
yes,
the
basically, it's
family
like we
truckster.
basically went to Wally World. He said we drove. They had this huge black car that had no AC driving from Texas to California. Um, but I remember him telling me, like, even though the trip was like absolutely insane, all this stuff went wrong. He was like, we got there and it was just the coolest thing I had ever seen at like 8 years old. He goes, I couldn't believe just no, he was younger than that. I think he was like 6. He was like, yeah, it was just the neatest thing I have ever seen. And it became such a huge part of his life. Obviously, it then became such a huge part of mine. So I wanted to go to Disneyland for a long time. As a kid, I also had I don't know if I had this, the Disney songs, the Disneyland Fun one. And I
Oh
used to
yeah.
watch that all the time. But it's funny because like as a kid, you think like, oh, well, I guess I'll just never go to California. I guess I'll only ever go to Florida. So when you become an adult with adult money, you can kind of do whatever. So my husband and I were very excited to get to take this trip. I've been wanting to do it for such a long time. So we kind of called it like a some sort of a honeymoon. He and I never really took a full honeymoon just because everything that was going on when we got married.
It's
But
the
we
Disney
actually
moon.
invited some of our friends to go with us, so we started calling it a funny moon instead. But we had a wonderful, wonderful time. And I do have to shout out to one of our fellow travel advisors, Maureen. She really knocked it out of the park for me and kind of helped me walked me through the whole process of booking and everything. It was really helpful because Disneyland, which I'm sure we'll get into this in a minute, but for all you Disney World people, Disneyland is a whole other animal. It is very different. Very, very different.
And everyone here should know Maureen, that she is a uh, podcast veteran, that she has talked
Yes.
about many things with us,
Yes.
including Disney. Um, can't think of it. What is it? It's not Euro Disney. I'm just thinking like all the
Disneyland
old names
Paris.
it used to be. Thank you.
Yes.
Yeah, Disneyland
Yes,
Paris.
she
She's
told
talked
me
like
all about that. That was amazing.
she's talked about the island Disney, not Castaway Key, Lighthouse Point at
Lighthouse Point at
yeah,
Lookout Key.
look at yeah, or Lookout Point at Lighthouse Key. Yeah, whatever. It's one
That
of those. I always get
nomenclature,
mixed up.
Matt, it'll get you every time.
It's on Eleuthera. I heard them mention that the other day.
It is
So
on the island of
yes.
Eleuthera. I
So
do
yeah, and
remember
then
that part.
yeah. So but Disneyland opened back on July 17th, 1955, which is known in Disney history as Black Sunday.
Yes.
So there are some good documentaries about the opening day quote unquote fiasco. Have you ever seen the opening day broadcast?
I have. I fancy myself a little bit of a Disney history like fiend. I love to know everything about how the theme parks came to be, what research went into it. That's such a specific interest of mine. So I have actually watched the full uninterrupted broadcast. It is wild. It is one of the wildest things I've ever seen, especially knowing the company the way that we know the company now and having worked for them for a little bit and everything and knowing what a commitment to like seamlessness and excellence and efficiency that they have. It's just so funny to watch it and really realize like, oh, this was the first time any of this had ever really been done. They had no idea what they were doing. So, my personal favorite part of that broadcast, though, is when one of the journalist, one of the reporters, gets caught kissing that girl and doesn't realize that the cameras are back on him.
Oh yeah.
That's the best. Oh my
Yeah,
gosh.
the Art Linkletter
Yes.
was I don't know if he was the one getting kissed, but he was
No.
Walt's good friend, and he kind of is like the main broadcaster, and he is great at improvisation.
Thank
And so
God
and
they
it really
needed
comes
it.
through. But then some of the other ones, especially, now we go to wherever, and our reporter Ronnie Reagan. It's like,
Yes.
hey, Ronald Reagan's on
Ron.
this, but he was not good at the improvisation, at least at that part of his life. I think later on as a president, he was real good with off the cuff stuff. It
Yes.
it was funny. There was one debate. Um, I forget which election it was, but there was a whole big thing of him being too old, which something we can never relate to now with presidential candidates being old.
We've never seen that ever.
But um, he said about there's been something, I don't know if this was a written line for him or whatever, but a lot has been said about age in this election, and I will promise you that I will not make a point of um, degrading my opponent because of his youth and lack of experience. He completely turned it around. It was such a great twist on it.
That's that media training really coming in handy. They didn't do as much of that back in
Absolutely.
55.
But whoever the opponent was, I don't know if it was Mondale in that one or whichever one, he laughed
Mhm.
it off, so he handled it really well too. But I forget which, it was not on the episode, but it was a documentary talking about the episode. And they
Hmm.
said that Art Linkletter, he got it. He
Yes.
understood what Disney was doing and what he wanted
Yes.
from this broadcast. Ronald Reagan used to being a, you know, movie actor,
An actor,
He's
yeah.
like, what are my lines? What do I say? How do you want me to say it? And so he did not get the whole improvisational thing of here's what we're gonna do. You're trying to just build it up. You're trying to pitch it a bit. He's like, what am I gonna say?
What am I
And
supposed to say? Well, then what are they supposed to say? There's a real art to that crowd work that you have to do as a reporter. I mean, and in a lot of instances, you've either got it or you don't. I do not got it. That is not something I'm very good at.
I would disagree.
Oh, I
Just having you
appreciate
on
that.
the podcast, I think you got that nice, you know, you can talk, which is why you're
That
back
I
on.
can. I can't for a really long time. I was helping work a Comic-Con event in Austin. I used to work with a charity cosplay group. Shout out to the Austin area Ghostbusters. They're
Yeah.
amazing and everything, and they do lovely things in
And
the
they have those
community.
Ghostbusters all around that there are the West Virginia Ghostbusters, there are Steel
Yep.
City Ghostbusters in Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
So we are familiar with them. With the 501st, we often get invited to the same events. And so
Yes.
we see them a lot.
Is the same.
And I,
I'm sure you see them around if you've ever been to an event like that. But we were there working once and so one of the guys at the thing was like, "Here, take this mic. Can you start it?" And I was like, I don't know what to do with my hands. Like I just couldn't like hone in to what I was supposed to be asking people. And I just looked at him and was like, I'm really better with kids when it comes to off the cuff stuff. He just looked at me and shook his head and took the microphone back. Oh, no, you know who it was? It was Kato Kalin. He was hosting this event and like handed the mic off to me and I just like he was not impressed with me at all. I just remember being like, okay, and just like handing the microphone back to him.
there's another
Oh,
blast from the past name that some
I
people of a
know.
specific age will know.
Well, I
Famous
think that was
house guest,
very
Kato
surreal to
Kalin.
me. I was like, I've seen you on television. This feels very odd. And I just walked away.
Like,
I
thanks,
love
but no
that.
thanks.
Literally.
So, but in preparation to talk about Disneyland, okay, it
Hmm.
wasn't in preparation just because I wanted to watch and I was in the process of watching this anyway. I have the Disney treasure stuff of, as I hold up for the audience with its wonderful tin, Disneyland Secret Stories and Magic, which
Those are
there's some
so
really good stuff on here that's talking
if you
about,
can
yeah, go
oh
ahead.
go ahead. I was gonna say if you can get your hands on those Disney Treasures sets, by the way, like do it. It's like having gold now.
Oh, yeah, I have the Host Walt Disney. I'm currently watching the Disney, or excuse me, the Tomorrowland one. And I got a few
Ooh,
other ones. So it's all about space and much like cheesy space cartoons of what they thought space exploration and travel would be like. And
I love that.
so, but I was very, very upset. I watched the complete Donald cartoon set.
That's
My
fun.
complete Goofy one, the DVDs are corrupted.
Oh
I went to
no.
watch them and I was like, wait, so I still have to like try to clean them just as like a last ditch effort to try and
Yeah.
get it to go. But there's like, say, sometimes the protective coating on it can degrade over time. And then it's like, oh no, dang physical medium.
I
So,
know. That's the thing. It's like you want to have it for like longevity's sake, and then also it does this. Ugh.
so, but anyway,
Mm-mm-mm.
there's some really good other things on there about not just you're saying about the opening day broadcast. There's a short documentary on there. It's like 15 minutes long about how they prepared for it and all the cameras and where they got the cameras from. And they were bringing these in from all over the United States.
Hmm.
And they made a big deal. It was like, we have 12 complete movie sets or television studios on in Disneyland to film this and like on these like forklifts, makeshift stuff. It's so put together,
Yes.
haphazardly. Of they show like this big bundle of wires coming out of the one window and just
That's
everywhere.
that sends me every time because I'm just like, there's surely that's an OSHA violation. Like I just,
I don't
oh,
think
it makes me
OSHA
so
existed
nervous.
back then.
It definitely didn't. Oh my gosh. No,
So
it's interesting to see though. I agree with you. Like the feats that they went to make that broadcast happen, and it was such a new concept, like broadcasting from a theme park of all places, it's interesting to see the way that they pieced it together and how they tried to make it happen.
yeah, and there's another thing on feature on there that has time lapse video of them building Disneyland,
Hmm.
and that's just so cool.
That is the neatest thing to see. Well, and so like that's the kind of things that I've always seen about Disneyland, right? I've seen so many documentaries and television specials and clips and everything like that, like the old Wonderful World of Color or like Disneyland the television show,
Yep.
like those old broadcasts. And so to watch all of that and have that kind of implanted in my brain from such a young age, and then to physically walk into the park was such a surreal experience. It felt very time travel-y to me to just like to get to finally see it in person, this thing that I have been thinking about since I was a little girl. That was just it was very surreal and very cool.
And on that note, let's get into it. So,
Yes.
first impressions.
Oh, so I know everyone knows. I mean, this is the line that my dad used to always tell me too, of like, well, it's just a lot smaller, right? That's what everyone says. It's just so much smaller. And it is so much smaller. But I think I had gone into it with the assumption of, well, I know the park itself is smaller, but how, like, I'm sure it'll feel and look kind of similar. No, 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 no. I mean, the castle's definitely smaller, which is a little bit of a mind shift, especially if you're a Walt Disney World person. You just expect to look down Main Street and see this huge Cinderella's castle in the distance. But it's very like Sleeping Beauty's castle is very quaint, but everything feels so much smaller and so much more condensed, but in like a really charming way. I couldn't believe it. Like the Main Street buildings feel smaller and they feel closer together. The castle, and then you had mentioned acreage, right?
Yeah, so I have a note here that
Mhm.
Disneyland Resort overall, like the entire resort of Disneyland Park, Disney California Adventure Park, Disney Downtown Disney, and three hotels. The total thing of the entire resort is about 500 acres.
Yeah.
Elaine's home park, whenever she was a cast member, Animal Kingdom, is 580 acres. So you can
Yep.
fit all of Disneyland into Animal Kingdom
Animal
and have room
Kingdom.
left over.
It's that's so crazy to think about. And like I know that so much of Animal Kingdom 2 is safaris, right? So much of that
Yeah,
is Kilimanjaro safaris, but still, it's such a wild number to think about. But it's because it's so much smaller, I think people think there's less to do. You guys, Disneyland, I mean, DCA also, but just Disneyland by itself, the park of Disneyland is jam packed. I could not believe how much there was to do and see in just Disneyland. And like, I'm a travel advisor. I do my research. I know how many like how many attractions and show live entertainment. Like I know all of that stuff happens, but it's so different when you're standing there. There is literally something around every single corner to go and do and look at and see. But it just
before we go
feels,
on,
oh
oh yeah,
yeah,
it's
go
not
ahead.
just feeling smaller. It is smaller. The
Yeah.
main street you talked about, that in Walt Disney World, the buildings are themed, or well, are portrayed as three stories, but of course there's forced perspective. So they're only
Right.
about 2 stories tall. And the second story is they actually have offices and administrative stuff up there.
Yes.
um, and speakers for some of the whenever the parade goes by, which there's a
Hmm.
little tidbit we'll get to on another episode of looking for stuff. Um, in Disneyland, they are themed to 2 stories, but I think the whole thing is like what 5/8, so it's a little bit more than like a story, what a normal 1 story building would be. So
Yes.
it is not just does it seem smaller, it actually is that it's even portrayed smaller, and then actual physical height is smaller. So therefore, you get the feeling of it. But go ahead, I interrupted. Go ahead.
You're right though. That's what our tour guide had mentioned that, which I'll talk about the tour we took in a minute. But I mean, you know how we are as travel advisors. We get to chit-chatting with a cast member and everything. But she had mentioned the same thing to me. She was because I told her I was like, it just feels so charming, I think, because everything feels so much smaller. You feel so much closer to everything. And she goes, "Oh, yeah." She's like, "Well, you know, it is smaller." And I was like, "Oh, good to know." She was like, they weren't quite building it on quite that same scale. She goes, this is the first draft. She's like, well, Disney World was like the second attempt. I was like, that's a really good point. But it's
Yeah.
nice. Like the buildings are just slightly different, and it does give it this like very fresh, different feel for someone who's gone to Walt Disney World for such a long time. But it was very cool. You feel you really feel the craftsmanship of everything
Mhm.
that has been put into the park, especially the things that have been there for a long time. Fantasyland especially, which granted I know their Fantasyland is not like the same. It's not necessarily the exact same thing that it was on opening
They did
day.
a
Because I
big
think
update in 1983.
I
Yeah.
was gonna say there was a whole thing.
The
Tony
new
Baxter
Fantasyland.
talks about how freaked out he felt after they brought the bulldozers in. He's like, I felt like I had ruined Walt's Park redoing Fantasyland. He's like, but it all worked out, thank God. But even that, that there's so much thought and craftsmanship put into that land. It's so beautiful and charming and
Intricate.
lovely,
Yeah.
and there's so much detail everywhere. It is a very, very different feeling.
And
Um,
before we go on about the
I
feeling
love
and
it.
actually about the size, there's a famous thing that you can take all of Disneyland Park and put it in the parking lot for Magic Kingdom in Walt Disney World.
Yes,
Now, I don't know
yes.
if that's true anymore with the addition of Galaxy's
Batu.
Edge.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think you're
So I
right.
think that made it a little bit bigger, but yeah, basically it'll fit
Yes.
there, which is pretty funny. But the feel
Crazy.
that
Yeah.
there is it's a different atmosphere that Walt Disney World, it's overbearing. Well, I don't want to call it overbearing. It's grandiose. Overbearing
Yes.
seems bad, but it's grandiose. It's just big. It's magical. It's amazing, but it's
Hmm.
huge.
Yes.
As Elaine mentioned, that Disneyland, it's smaller, it's quaint, it has more of a neighborhood feeling, which is
Hmm.
what it really is. That it's more of a neighborhood park. They don't get the quite as much of the international audience and
No.
visitors as Disney World does. That
Yeah.
it's more of the people of Southern California who go there.
They call it a locals park. And it
Yeah,
definitely feels like a locals park, which is kind of nice, right? Like a lot of the people that are there have been going there since they were kids and have been like annual or not annual pass holders there. They call them Magic Key
yeah.
holders for such a long time. It's nice. You feel that feeling. I think there was an interview that Tony Baxter did where he said, he's like, Disney World is grand and spectacular. He says, but Disneyland is charming and lovely. And I was like, that is exactly what it is. It is so charming and it's very
And there
easy to fall in love with it.
and there's something else too. And I got this talking to several of the cast members whenever on my first visit out there that I did
Hmm.
one of the tours too, and we got to talk to an elderly woman who was an original cast member. Now this was
That's cool.
2013, so it was 13 years ago. Actually, it's a little bit 13 years and a month ago, basically, that I was
Oh,
out there for the
wow.
first time. That yeah, I planned to. I actually mistimed things that so I had the wrong ending date for the semester. And so I
Oh,
booked my
no.
trip to go over and went over Mother's Day weekend, which I made up for it with my mom, so it's okay.
Yes.
Um,
We did the same thing, if that makes you feel better.
yeah. That I was during finals week that I booked it, but I didn't have to give finals, but I still had to do grading. And one of the classes was I was in charge of kind of like a AP class
Hmm.
for kids who are all throughout West Virginia who are
Hmm.
taking college credit through WVU. So it wasn't quite the AP test, but it was specifically through WVU. And so
Hmm.
I had to grade all their finals. And so
Oh my
I was
God.
out there and then I got the finals in. I had to find a place to print them.
Oh
And
my
then,
God.
so I'm going around. I found a few like stores. They're like, it costs this much per print. Like, it's going to cost me $500 to print all these tests. So
Hmm.
I was staying at the Grand Californian. I
Hmm.
went to their spa. I was walking around and trying to find some place. They had a business center. It's like, oh yeah, it'll cost this much, whatever. I finally went like to the fitness center and the spa's right there, and I saw that print. I was like, I have a bunch of stuff to print. Here is $30. Can I use your computer? And the lady was like, okay.
Sure. Very
You know, back there and
accommodating.
printing it. And then like someone else came like, what's he doing? I was like, he's got to print something. He gave me $30 here. Here's 10. Like kept them quiet. I was like, all right. So, but I
Here's 10. Everybody be cool.
the whole time I was waiting in line and I'm grading papers, and of course I get some of the comments like, "You're a school teacher, right?" I was like, "Yep." She's like, "Yeah, I used to teach.
Yeah,
Been there, done that too." Yeah.
they get it. That's
So,
so funny.
but what they were saying is that what the cast members were saying is that some of them were there from the beginning.
Hmm.
There's a reverence that they hold for that park, which
Yeah,
is what you feel out there. That
definitely.
this is the only park that Walt Disney ever set foot in.
Yeah.
And so it's one of the things of Walt was here. We need to uphold his standard. And so now I've mentioned this, and I've had other people who've gone out there like, yeah, I didn't feel that, but I don't know if I just talked to the right cast members or what, or
Hmm.
mindset, however you do it. But I got that feeling. My wife didn't, but she's not nearly as much of a Disney fan as mine and Disney history, whatever. And
Yeah.
so, but
I
I
I
noticed
agree
it.
with you. I had that same feeling. And I think to your point, I think it depends on who, like which cast members you're talking to. I had the pleasure of getting to chat a lot with a Disney tour guide. And that is a job that you don't just get it like your first hire. You usually start either in merchandising or food and beverage, or you start in attractions and you work your way through the channels to get there. So in
Oh,
order to
that is a
have a
job I would love.
Oh, as a kid, that was my dream job. I mean, truly, I remember watching on Vault Disney on the Disney Channel late at night because they used to show some of these old broadcasts. I remember them showing the episode where they're talking about the Haunted Mansion and Pirates of the Caribbean
The
and
10
Julie
Centennial,
Ream.
Julie Ream.
Yes. Yes, and Julie Ream was on there. It was the first ever like Disney ambassador, and she had on her little
The
riding
plaid
cap
cap. Yep.
looking hat and her plaid outfit, and I remember looking at her and being like, that's what I want to do. I want to do that job. It just seemed so cool to me that she got to I mean, A, she got to work with Walton that way, but getting to learn all these things about these new attractions and see what was going on behind the scenes. I really wanted to be able to do something like that and then to get to share that with other people. So,
Well, I think that speaks to both Elaine and I that we have backgrounds in education and that whole thing of that's what the tour guide is doing. They are teaching
hmm
you what all about Disneyland and sharing
hmm
information. And so I've got 20 years experience doing that. So Disney, I know you listen to this. So whenever I
yeah,
apply,
I was going to say, I was an educator for 10 years. I did work for the company. I actually had a friend that was a tour guide for a while. He did Wild Africa Trek for a bit at Animal Kingdom and then got to work in tours. And he got to do VIP tours. He also used to work with their youth education series and give those tours as well. And he was amazing at it. But he used to tell me, he's like, "Oh, you would love this job." He was like, it's me taking people around the Magic Kingdom and like teaching them about all the things backstage. And he's like, you would have absolutely crushed it. I was like, well, thank you. But it's cool, right? I love getting to cast members like that because you know that yes, this is their job, but they are also really passionate. And like you said, there is when those cast members at Disney World, it is still a huge deal to them. I would say overall, most of the people you'll notice when you go to the different parks, cast members at Disneyland, most of them on their name tags, their hometowns are somewhere close by in California. Whereas at World, I mean, it's all over the place, right?
hmm
It's such a thing to go and to get hired there. But the cast members that have been there for a bit at Disneyland, they do. They know how special this park is and they know how important it is to like talk about its history and its creation, and they take that job very seriously and they are so excited to tell you about the things that they know, which was so great for someone like me who loves this kind of thing. So,
Oh yeah.
so amazing. So amazing.
So anyway, back to size things that you were talking
Oh,
about, the two
yeah.
parks.
You know what they really undersell? How close the parks are. So we got there our first day and we were lucky enough to get to stay in the Disneyland Hotel, which we'll talk about that more in a little bit. It was so beautiful. Exact if you are a big Disney history buff, that is the place to go. There's something around every corner. It's cool. But we walked down through downtown Disney because I just wanted to get an idea of like, okay, tomorrow morning, what's this walk going to look like? How much time do I need to dedicate to make sure I get where I need to go on time? So we're just walking around or whatever. And as we get closer to the Esplanade, like I knew everybody kept telling me, like, oh, they're literally just like right across the way from each other. No, no, no. They are literally right across the way from each other.
I think they're
Downtown
less than
Disney
100
is
yards apart.
Yes, I think I just thought there would at least be, I don't know, a corner that I had to turn or something. No. The gates of DCA and Disneyland literally face each other. It is a minute to get from one front gate to the other. It's crazy. They're
That's a
so
gross
close.
exaggeration of it being a minute.
It
15 seconds flat. Of course, I'm always
maybe
sprinting
like
it, but okay.
yes, like I could power walk between the two in less than a minute.
Yeah, I would say
It just
it's a minute if you're taking a leisurely stroll at the end of the day when you're tired.
yes. It was so crazy. And so that opened up, what we were able to do towards the end of our trip, especially, being able to park hop like that. But I will also say, I kind of feel like people are really underselling Disney's California Adventure, which maybe they're not doing that as much anymore as they were when I was growing up. I mean, Matt, I'm sure you remember when it opened.
Yeah.
And it
Well,
was,
it was before we were born. That was like 20 years ago, but yeah.
oh, that's
It was
true.
it
Because
was
we
early
are both
2000s,
just
was it
like,
2001? It's a very
yeah, we're basically
unfortunate
like
opening time, but
man, what a rough time to open a theme park. Well, and it was the Disney company is now since I know they're listening. They have now since gone back and even admitted like, yeah, we may have missed the mark a little bit on that one.
a
But
park
I
that celebrates
remember
California that's in
in
California.
California. Well, Michael Eisner was like, you know how we keep everyone here is we just give them all the stuff they want to see in Southern California in this theme park. Terrible idea. But the retheming that they've done over the years to that park really has made such a huge difference. Buena Vista Street is so charming and cute and wonderful to walk down. You go in the morning and they have the citizens of Buena Vista Street. We got to chat with Officer Blue and that was so much fun. And, seeing Mickey and Goofy and Minnie walking around in their cute Buena Vista Street outfit. It's so nice. And
It's
there is just,
1920s
yes,
Hollywood basically is the theme of
yeah,
it. So
it's,
Hollywood Studios is more 1940s Hollywood. And I
yes.
love the tagline of Hollywood Studios of the Hollywood that never was, but always will
But
be.
always will be. I love that. Well, and Buena Vista Street is supposed to emulate the Los Angeles that Walt Disney would have experienced when he first came to California in the 20s,
And
which is
more
so cool.
specifically, yeah, kind of like his what Main Street USA is of
Yeah.
home small town of Marceline, Missouri, back in
Hmm.
turn of the century. But it's not meant to be like a literal recreation of it. It's more of
Mm-mm.
this is not what happened, and this is also what happens in the general design details or purpose behind Epcot. This is not what it looks like exactly. This is
No.
what your memory tells you it looked like after you
Yeah.
come back, or this is what you remember of, or this is the feeling or the impression. So it's sort of like in um, it, our let's see, um, impressionist artistic recreation
Yes.
of it.
I would agree with that wholeheartedly. That is very much it's not. It's because even my husband asked me, he's like, is this supposed to be based off like a specific neighborhood or something in Los Angeles? And I was like, no, it's just kind of this like idealized recreation of what Walt would have experienced when he first came to LA. I said, but in almost in the way of like a movie, essentially.
It's a conglomeration of different um, neighborhoods of, hey,
Yeah.
look, they would have had they on Main Street. All right, they would have had the apothecary or the pharmacy here. They would have had
Hmm.
the ice cream parlor. They would have the bakery. They have
Yeah,
this. They have
the
that.
big department store and then like the red trolley and my personal favorite part was the Carthay Circle, the theater recreation. That I think is such a nice nod to Snow White and the opening of Snow White and everything.
So
Um,
yeah, for those unfamiliar, at the end of so you walk down Buena Vista Street, which is the main, entry thing, like Main Street
yes.
USA. At the end of that, there's your hub where you can go off to different lands,
Hmm.
and it has a recreation of the Carthay Circle Theater, and it's a restaurant, the
Yes.
Carthay Circle Restaurant. In the park, it's still a theater, in Hollywood, but that's
Yeah.
where Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs was made, or where
Mhm.
it premiered. And there's also a recreation of that on Sunset Boulevard
Yes, there is
uh, um,
in Hollywood
in
Studios.
Hollywood Studios. Thank you.
Yeah,
Although it's just a store there.
and it's funny because it's like you blink and you miss it, but it
Yeah.
is there. So, but yeah, that was so cool. I don't think I expected to love DCA as much as I did, but I really, really did. It's the changes that they have made are so thoughtful and so beautiful, but some of the stuff that's been there since the beginning, that whole Grizzly Peak area ended up being one of my favorite parts of the entire park. It's so pretty and like well thought out and oh, I loved it. I loved
Yeah,
every
I
second of it.
think they've updated the things that they needed to,
Hmm.
and some of the things that like the attractions stayed the same, but they just rethemed them a little bit, like with Pixar Pier, which used to be
Yeah.
Paradise Pier, and then they've done the additions of Avengers Campus, which is expanding, and
Yes.
um, Cars Land, which is just amazing.
Oh my God.
Which
I
I
we'll
just talked
we'll
to
have to
someone the other
talk.
day yeah, they want to go out to Disneyland. They're big Star Wars fans, and so they're
Hmm.
going to go out for a celebration when it's out there next year.
Yes.
It's just like the big Uber Star Wars convention,
Oh,
basically.
it's the
Um,
thing to go to.
but they said specifically they want to go to Cars Land because their son, who's now in college, when he was little, Cars was his favorite movie, and so they just want to go and experience that. So
Oh,
that's like the
that's
main
so
thing.
nice. I love
So,
that. That was Cars Land was
oh, it's
amazing.
we'll get to it.
Yes.
Um, but the one thing Elaine mentioned is something that they have more in Disneyland, which they don't quite have so much in Walt Disney World, is like the street performers of like the
Yeah.
citizens who just walk around.
A
And
ton
that would
of
be a fun
live
job to have
music.
too.
That was really cool. That's the thing is like sometimes if you go out on Main Street, USA and Disney World mid-morning, you do have like the citizens of Main Street. You can see the mayor and my personal favorite is Scoop, who's the reporter. I
Yeah.
love him. Uh, but I knew it was such a thing at DCA that they had started. And it wasn't like a ton of people, but it's like if you kind of moved through that area at different parts of the day, you'd see them and they're just so fun. I love that interactive nature that you see so much more of in Disneyland. I knew they talk a lot about characters free roaming. That, by the way, was like the biggest, like, I couldn't wrap my head around that at all. I would see a character and it was just a habit. I would immediately look for their character attendant of like, okay, where are they? Who's keeping tabs on them? Who's making sure that they're safe? But they're fine. They're perfectly fine out there. There's someone around, but I saw Anna running through Fantasyland being chased by Merida and then being chased by Peter Pan.
Oh,
Like,
Peter Pan. He's a whole other story.
oh yeah. It was so funny. And then same thing in DCA, you would just sort of be walking around Avengers Campus and there's the Wasp just walking around greeting people. There's T'Challa just like comes walking out from somewhere. Amazing. It's so cool. It just gives it such a cool interactive feel. And I won't get too hard into the cast member minutia of it, but I know why we have a harder time having that in Walt Disney World. But man, it makes such a difference to just have those characters free roaming. It's so
Yeah, so
cool.
instead of just, "Hey, all right, here's the character greeting spot," they're
Yes.
just wandering around. Yeah.
Yeah. And I know Disney World used to do more of that back in like the late 70s into the 80s. And I think it was sometime around like the late 80s, maybe early 90s that they started to get a lot of requests from guests of like, well, but where is Mickey? Like where's like the one spot, and like what time and everything. And so they started to make it more of a scheduled thing, but oh, there is something so magical about just walking around and oh my gosh, there's Alice. Like it's just so cool.
Yeah, definitely did. In Peter Pan, we did a tour,
Oh.
or I did a tour the one time, and the tour guide, she's just finished telling me, so yeah, you gotta watch out for Peter Pan. Some, he likes to come around and just he'll crow in my ear and then he'll run away. And
Mm.
you know, 2 minutes later, she's talking to us, sneaks up behind her, does his rooster crow in her ear, and then skips away. And she's like, Peter, and he's
Like, get
laughing,
out of
like,
here.
da, 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 da. Then he's off, greeting little kids, and yeah.
It's so fun. It's just so
So
cool. It really adds to the overall atmosphere, especially if you have smaller children. I think that that alone is such a good reason to go to Disneyland.
yeah, and you mentioned that it took you so long to get out there. It took me so long to get out there. That
Yeah.
was in my early 30s before my first trip.
Hmm.
That was my daughter's first Disney experience. That it just so happened that my wife and I had been to Walt Disney World. Well, that's where I went most of the time.
Hmm.
And then our first couple trips with her were to Walt Disney World, and she's like, "We need to try Disneyland sometime." And it
Hmm.
just so happened that the schedules I could not book the normal Disney trip after the semester ended before Christmas, but we had
Hmm.
just enough time to be out that we could go like 3 days and then have more time. So we did
Perfect.
Disneyland for like the beginning of the week, and then we did a few days of just LA around,
Yeah.
right before Christmas before coming back. And so I'd like to avoid Disney parks around Christmas because they just get crazy.
Oh,
But
it's awful.
it was our daughter's first Disney experience, and it was Disneyland. So
That's so special.
I'm not sure how much she actually remembers of that since we've been to Walt Disney World other times, if she would make the distinction or anything. But
Mhm.
for me, the thing that stands out in my memory is riding carousels about 500 times
I
because
was gonna say, which ride did your child hyperfixate on?
Jesse's, was it Rodeo Roundup or Jesse's Roundup that's in DCA?
The Jesse's Critter Carousel?
Yeah, Critter
Yep.
Carousel. The Rodeo Roundup is a new thing for Cool Kid Summer,
Yes.
in Walt Disney World. That my wife at one point wanted to get in line for the Incredicoaster. And so we were just
Oh my
waiting
gosh.
and there was no line for it. So we went again. I have some amazing, such cute pictures of her like completely over smiling and having a great time on this thing. But the bad thing is my wife eventually like got up and waited for a while and then Incredicoaster broke down. So she came
Oh,
back. It was like, all right.
wow.
So
Oh,
more reason to go back. She has to ride it still.
exactly. Yeah, that's another thing. I will say, as I think everyone's like, oh, it's so small, you can hit it all. It's so jam-packed, you're gonna miss stuff. Unless you plan to be there for like a full week,
My
you're gonna
first
miss
trip was
stuff.
5 days. And I checked in
Yeah,
like, you're here for 5 days? I'm like, darn tootin', I'm here for 5 days.
that's exactly. They go 4 park days. That's right. I was like, oh yeah, that's right. And we're gonna use every single one of them. So, especially your
Was it
first time.
overkill? It was overkill. Yes. Did I
Yes,
still get to
don't
ride? Did I get to ride everything that I wanted to? Yes. Did I get to ride it
exactly.
multiple times? Absolutely.
That's the thing. I'm like, I have to do Indy at least twice before I go back home because I don't have that anywhere else. So,
Not yet, at
it
least.
was worth it.
There's something similar could be coming to Animal Kingdom.
I know we were actually talking about that right after we got off the ride. I mean, the our viewers might know this, but our listeners, but I will say, I loved Dinosaur. It was one of my favorite attractions in all of Walt Disney World for a very, very long time. It was very sad to see it go, although I get it. I got off at Indy and I went, I'm okay with that. I could be talked into that. Like that'll work.
And for those who are unfamiliar, if you've ever ridden both the Indiana Jones,
Adventure.
what is
Wait,
the
Indiana
Indiana
Jones and the
Adventure?
Temple of the Forbidden Eye.
Yeah, out in
Hmm.
Disneyland, and then Dinosaur in Animal Kingdom, it's the same ride vehicle.
Hmm.
So
Parts
making
of
the
the
transition is going to be
track are
pretty
the
easy.
same,
I
right?
don't know if the actual, I don't know if the whole
The ride
exact
feels
ride.
different because it's programmed differently. I know that. But
Yeah,
yeah,
but
they're
it's an interesting
extremely
ride
small.
vehicle that the base of it just goes on smooth things, and then the seating compartment can move up, down, left, right, tilt back and
Hmm.
forth, all that. Or it doesn't move up, down, moves up, down, and like tilts basically on a like a
Yes.
central fulcrum, I guess you could say. And so that's
Yeah.
what makes it feel very rough. And
Hmm.
that's why I was not a huge fan of the dinosaur ride or even Indiana Jones a
Yeah.
bit because it's a very all right, I'm six
It's
one. My knees bang off the front of it, okay? So
hmm
I hold on, I push back and it's, brace for impact and then I can get
yes.
through it, but it's a
Yes.
rough ride.
It is. That it was, I would even say Indy is rougher than Dinosaur was.
Although the theming for Indy, I like that a whole lot better than Dinosaur.
It's so good.
Just
It
growing up
just
in the 80s with Indiana Jones stuff and
I love Indiana Jones. I love we're big I was born in a big Lucasfilm household, if you can't tell. Uh but
the
I
ringtone on my phone for whenever my mom and dad calls is
uh-huh.
the Indiana Jones theme song.
Oh, from I love
So,
that.
and
That's so cool.
not just Lucasfilm, but also John Williams fans.
Yes. Oh, more I was more on John Williams scores, by the way. That'll come up here in a minute.
Yeah.
But oh my gosh, it was I couldn't believe like I remember when they opened the ride, they opened it in like five and it was everywhere, right? You would specials about it on TV, you would see commercials about it, like everything, even in Texas. I saw all this stuff about it. And I remember like seeing the big giant skull and like all the fire and the rope bridge and being like, that looks so cool. It is a completely different experience actually sitting in the ride. It was amazing. It
Oh yeah,
was
it lives up
so,
to
so
its
good.
expectations. Yeah.
100%. Even 30 years later, it is still so, so good and so impressive.
And even whenever they built it, they had to move the monorail because the
Yeah.
show building got in the way. And one thing to be careful of is you walk pretty much a mile. Okay, not
Hmm.
exactly a mile. It's a long walk though. You walk down this huge long path to get back to even the queue area. And
Hmm.
sometimes that queue stretches all the way along that path. So um, be aware that
Oh
you are
yeah.
walking pretty far back to get to
You
it.
are. It's because you're going outside the berm, so to
Yeah.
speak. So yeah, you got to go quite a ways away. But it's worth it. It's definitely
Hmm.
worth it.
Oh, and even the queue area of whenever it says don't pull
Pull
the
the rope.
rope.
You got to pull the rope. You have to pull the rope. My husband got very excited about pulling the rope. He's like, I can do stuff. I was like, yes, you can. Have at it. This was so my husband has been to Disney World twice. He barely remembers either of those trips. One, he was very, very little, and then the other one, he was like maybe 16, 17. The only reason that he knows anything about that trip is because I have gone through and looked through his family's pictures and I've been like, "Oh, you rode this and you rode this and you rode this." He's like, "I don't remember any of that." So this was our first Disney trip together. That sounds so terrible, by the way. We've been together for like 8 years, but still. Um, I go a lot. The man's got a job that does not always allow him to go and do. So, but this was like his first big opportunity to go, and he was so shocked at things like that, like the interactive cues and the extensive theming throughout everything. And it was cool to kind of get to see it through his eyes also, and how excited he was about everything. It was amazing.
Yeah, getting to see, and we've talked about this before, especially with Amanda, about doing a first trip with somebody
Yes,
else's first trip
yes,
is always pretty cool. Or
it's so fun.
I'm so looking forward to our next trip in December
Hmm.
because last time we only did two Disney Park days, and then we did a lot of stuff in Universal when we went to
Hmm.
Florida.
Oh
And
yeah,
so my daughter got to ride Rock and Roller Coaster though, because she's tall enough. And we did
yes.
not go to Magic Kingdom Park though. But this time we're doing
Ooh.
Tron.
Yes, I
She
love
gets to do her
Tron.
first ride on Tron. She's gonna be tall enough, so she's
Oh,
excited about it. She's asked if every
good.
couple of days. She's like, I'm tall enough for Tron right now, right?" Like, yeah. It's like,
She
when are
got
we
to double
going?
check. I love that. Good for her. I would double check too. She's gonna love it.
So
That was such a cool ride. I loved every second of that. It's so good.
I like the beginning part.
I do
The
too.
end, the middle part, and the ending. You're in the building. It's kind of,
But
it's
that
okay. But
going
the beginning part is really
through
cool.
everything like at night and everything,
Oh
that
yeah,
was I agree with you. It's the coolest part is the
the
load
outside.
and the
Yeah.
launch and being outside. The inside is neat and it's very immersive, but man, going under that canopy at nighttime when everything is lit up and it's something else. It's so cool.
And that's when we wrote it too. We had our like the virtual queue that whenever we
Uh-huh.
went and we got to do it,
Yes.
it was at night whenever our number finally came up.
Heck yeah. That's the best. I
So,
love that.
but the Indiana Jones outside the Indiana Jones stunt spectacular in
Mhm.
Hollywood Studios, they have a rope thing there too that you can pull.
I didn't know that.
I think it's new. That I saw it last time. I'm not sure if it was there the time before, so it is fairly
Mhm.
new.
Okay.
So
I
something
was
to look
gonna say,
forward
I
to
was
the
like,
next time.
I've been going to that park since I was 7. I've never seen that. I can't believe I missed it. That's cool. I want that.
But it's not like right outside the entrance. It's more along the middle part where there's not too much, and then there's a little
Yeah,
archaeological site, and there's like don't pull the rope, but don't crossed out, and so you get to pull it and
I love
stuff.
that.
But yeah, it the one in Disneyland, there's actual like hieroglyphics you can like decode as you're
Yes,
in line, and they used to have like a little
that's
pamphlet you
fun.
could use to map
Yeah, I
that
think you
out.
can
I'm not sure
ask
if
a
they,
cast member for it and it'll give you like a key and you
yeah,
can yeah, that's one thing is I mean we utilized obviously multi-pass
hmm
to try to get as much done as we could. But there were a couple of rides and Indy was one of them where I was like, I could be convinced to wait in the standby queue for this. Like I really could. I would happily just look and explore and experience all of this. So,
Do you want to? Let's just keep talking about the stuff. We'll do your hotel later on, even
oh
though we'll
yeah,
go out of order on this. So,
I'm into that.
Disneyland Park. What else? You have a couple of highlights written here.
I did. So, I am a big Mary Blair fan. Just really, I was a very Disney history centric kid. So, um,
Five-legged goat.
I love the five of a goat, like a goat. But I love Mary
If you
Blair.
know,
I
you
love
know.
Alice Davis. Yeah, if you know, you know. Um, I love Alice Davis. I love Mary Blair. I'm so Mary Blair, especially. I'm very inspired by the way that she utilizes color and shapes to make things more interesting. I've always loved her concept art that she did for films. I've always things like Sleeping Beauty always really stuck out to me because of how beautiful they were, and she was a huge part of a lot of that. But It's a Small World was a huge highlight for me,
And for those
partially.
unfamiliar, yeah, Mary Blair was the main designer for all the
Yes.
costumes and the dolls for It's a Small World back for the 1964-65 World's Fair. Which, by the way,
Yes.
that's going to be an upcoming episode talking about the attractions that came from that.
Would be very interested in helping with that as well.
So
Um,
Amanda's on board. So
heck yeah, I
we get
love 64 World's Fair.
the three amigos are
But yeah,
getting back
Mary
together for
Blair
that.
was a huge integral part of the design of that and the artwork for that. And Alice Davis came in and got to help with costume design and helping to like create the outfits for the dolls and even came up with the idea. I think she did this for Pirates of the Caribbean originally, but she had explained that they needed to have two costumes for each doll. So if there was ever any damage or anything, it was as easy as changing out the costume and just like things that are very specific to like, well, of course, like she was practical and she thought, but I do love Mary Blair very, very much. In fact, my I have a bunch of Mary Blair themed things on my desk. My desk is very Mary Blair themed, with all of her colors and everything. But I've obviously ridden It's a Small World. I've been going to Walt Disney World since I was a child, but theirs is it's better. I don't know if it's just the outside facade. It has its own beautiful facade outside that doubles as a cuckoo clock, which is so fun. It's
Was the
oh,
clock working completely whenever you were there?
yes, it was. I got to see it a couple of times. I just always happened to be back there at the right time. It was so funny. But the queue loads outside. You go through this cute little garden with all of these topiaries, and at night it's lit up. And at Christmas, it's really something to see. But
Oh yeah,
it's so pretty. But the sets inside are so detailed. It's a little bit longer. I don't know. There's just something about it. It feels a little bit grander. You can tell that this is the original one and that it was really created with a purpose. Whereas the one at Walt Disney World is still beautiful and still charming and still wonderful, but you can tell that it was put in there as the copy, essentially.
Hmm.
There's just so many more pieces throughout the one in Disneyland. And I believe just Disneyland's also has the Disney characters throughout, which is really cool. I can't remember if Walt Disney World's has that now or not, but I know
I
Disneyland's
think
does.
so. I'm gonna say I think so, but again, I could be confusing the two trips because we've did them so close together.
Yeah,
But
they're definitely easy to confuse, but it was cute. Like we're going through and I look up and there's Peter Pan and Wendy like over London and there's Jasmine and Aladdin up on a magic carpet and there's Cinderella and it was so beautiful. So that was definitely a huge highlight for me. Something I did not expect to love as much as I did was Toontown.
oh yeah,
I am from the era that I do remember Mickey's Toontown Fair in Magic Kingdom growing
starting
up.
with Mickey's Birthday Land, then Mickey's Starland, then
Yes,
Mickey's Toontown Fair, which
exactly.
is
And
part
the
of Fantasyland.
Yes, way back in the 90s, until they remodeled everything and created New Fantasyland. And now that's where I believe where Storybook Circus
It's Storybook
sits.
Circus, yeah.
Yeah, so I remember that, but even that was the idea behind Mickey's Toontown Fair was supposed to be, well, this is Mickey's country home. This is where he vacations. And Toontown is supposed to be where everybody lives. And Toontown, I know last year, maybe 2 years ago, underwent a big refurbishment. And man, oh man, it's so cool back there. It is so pretty and so well thought out. And I love the addition of the El Capitan Theater for Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway. That is so cool. But just getting to walk back there, especially at night when it's a little quiet and everything is lit up. I highly recommend if you're gonna go either first thing in the morning or later, like way later in the evening when it's cleared out a little bit. It is a great spot if you have small kids too, for families and everything, but it's
The
just so
play
neat.
areas.
Yeah, there's great play areas there. I mean, the whole thing basically is like multiple playgrounds. But it was just so cool and it was such a like a nostalgic thing for me to get to like walk through Minnie's house again and experience that and get to see how pretty that was and I loved every second of that. Matterhorn, it's
Before we
insane
go
to me
on,
that that still exists, but I love
yeah,
it. Oh, it's so good.
go back to Toontown. We missed out
Oh,
on that. Last time we were there, they were opening like a few months later, so we just missed seeing the
oh,
renewed one. But the original one, it was so interactive. Like even the
yes.
stores, there was fun stuff in the ceiling, like the little animation
I
thing,
love
like
that.
little things like a train going around the top, or
Yeah.
look up and there's little things, and just so interactive. Of like with the pull the rope thing, there was a
Yeah.
little dynamite plunger you could push down like outside the fireworks factory, and you could hear fireworks going off.
Yeah,
Um,
they have a lot of that stuff still back there. I made my husband like go back and take a picture with the barbell that you
yep,
pick
like
up.
your big barbell is like the bar is like being bent as you're picking it up off the
Yeah,
ground type thing.
that was fun. Like Toontown is just so I think a lot of people kind of skip it because they think it's like kids area. There is a lot of fun to be had back in Toontown. It's so cool. It's so neat to just kind of go walk through there and see everything. It's they did a great job in keeping it very immersive.
Oh, and just
Um,
visually, there's little
yeah.
sight gags of there's a they still have the little gas station there, and
Hmm.
there's like in the one gas thing, and it's like old fashioned gas pump that there was like
Yeah.
it was a fish bowl, there was a fish in it, and there's a
Yeah.
car there. Do you read the license plate that is like said animated, like
Yeah.
and so there's neat stuff there. And um Roger Rabbit's cartoon spin, I love the license plates in there too, of decoding what they're
Yes.
really saying. That was so much
Oh,
fun.
I loved that ride. That ride's such a fever dream, but it's so fun. They did recently take out you can no longer spin the car yourself, which is a bummer, but still very, very fun. Still really enjoyed that.
We interrupt your regularly scheduled podcast to bring you this important announcement. So, Elaine and I talked for almost 2 hours about her trip to Disneyland Resort. So, we're going to split this into two episodes. Before we get to our contact information, here's my travel tip. For most people, a trip to Disneyland Resort means a change in your time zone, which means that jet lag could be a factor. And anytime you're traveling where you have to change time zones, here's my advice that the best way to beat jet lag is with exercise, fresh air, and natural light. When you get to your destination, be active outside if possible. Try to avoid taking a nap, or if you just have to take a nap because you're dead tired, take a short nap. You want to adjust to the local time zone as quickly as possible. Naps only delay that process. So when we visit my wife's family in Indonesia and when we come back to the US as well, that my wife and I use vastly different strategies. I get acclimated as quickly as possible by getting out. I do things, take a walk, whatever. I might get tired a little bit faster, get tired a little bit earlier in the evening, but I'll stay up to at least a somewhat normal bedtime. And after a few days, then that will fade and I'm back to normal, being on the normal sleep schedule based on whatever time zone you're in. My wife, on the other hand, she likes to take naps whenever she's tired. So it sometimes takes her a couple of weeks to get back on to a normal schedule. Now, she's usually very productive when she's awake at 4 o'clock in the morning. But of course, I hear her cleaning or cooking or doing whatever. And then she takes naps at like 1 o'clock in the afternoon. So it kind of disrupts normal life. So try to be active, be out, get onto that normal schedule, avoid naps or take very short naps just to refresh yourself a little bit and then get going back to your normal stuff. But now,
So
everyone
good.
else out there, if you have a destination or an experience that you'd like to have us discuss on the Where Yinz Goin podcast, or if you'd like to share your favorite place to visit or have a travel tip, feel free to contact me. I'd love to hear your feedback and ideas. Elaine, how can people get a hold of you?
So you can actually find me on Instagram at Dreams by Design Elaine. That's Elane. And then on Facebook, you can find me at Dreams by Design Travel with Elaine. And then you can always email me if you have any questions or looking for a trip quote at Elaine at Dreams by Design or Elaine at dreamsbydesign.com. Also keep eyes on that Instagram now I'm home and uploading and organizing all of that the hours of footage that I took. I got some fun stuff coming on the social media, so come give me a follow.
And even looking at her old stuff because this is coming out in mid-June. So, she might have had already
Oh,
had some
even
posted.
better.
So,
I'm gonna parcel all that stuff out for as long as I can.
so keep look at her old stuff, look at the new stuff. It's
Yes.
coming.
Feel free to take a look.
So here at the podcast, we are on Facebook and X at Where Yinz Goin, Yinz Yinz Goin Goin with the apostrophe and the question mark. Email Matt Matt at dreamsbydesigntravel.com. All this information is going to be in the episode description. So if you want to contact us to book a trip or have any questions, you know how to find us. Um, I know it broke up a little bit on my end, so I don't know if that was what got recorded, but now you have all the spellings down, so you don't have to worry about any of that. Or if you missed any bits of that, it's there. So go look it up.
Yes. Yes.
And this ain't Elaine's first time, so you should have it written down already, right?
I
So
know.
it might be someone's first time they're listening, so you never
That's
know.
true. You have to treat every podcast like it's one listener's first go around for sure.
Go back and listen to the other ones too.
Hmm.
Please like, follow, subscribe, leave a review, tell a friend, let other people know all about the fun stuff and the exciting things we're talking about here. And if you do not have fun and you were not intrigued by Elaine's our conversation here with Elaine, then check your pulse.
Yeah.
So, so this ends episode 2 of Elaine's recap of Disneyland
Yeah.
because this is 2 parts.
It's gonna have
Well,
to be two pieces.
well, actually, sorry. For those of you listening on the first part, this is the end of part 1. Elaine
Yes.
will be back next week. For those listening on
Yes.
part 2, this is the end of part 2. You had Elaine last week too.
Ooh, time travel.
Now that brings me starts making me think of the timekeeper in Disney. All right, too many
Oh.
sidetracks here. All right, we'll let everyone go here. Please join us next time. We're Hanat Nat. We'll see you later.